Welcome once again to Marriage Without Tears channel. My name is Felix Okeke. I am your marriage counselor and coach. And in today's edition, we're still going to treat how to save your marriage part 2. We started that series last week, how to save your marriage part 1. But this week, we are going into part 2. And if you are part of this program, please go to part 1 and start from there. And then you'll be able to follow us comprehensively because this is a series. And honestly, if you actually want to save your marriage, this is the place to be. Once again, I appreciate you for being part of this wonderful channel, Marriage Without Tears. How to save your marriage. Today, we're going to discuss a very vital area, and that is the area of communication. As you know, how you exchange information with your spouse has a lot to do to the flourishing or to the growth of your marriage. If you discover a marriage that is flourishing, a marriage that is meeting targets, it is a marriage where communication is very open, where communication is very honestly done. It is a marriage where communication has a free flow. It's a marriage where nobody is undermined by acerbic words or caustic language. It's a marriage where every party involved know how to receive and to send information between themselves and the rest of the family. So that is the kind of marriage that we are talking about. But if you discover a marriage that is failing, or if you interview some people that are already separated or divorced, you discover that everyone tries to maintain his or her own terrain. They are selfish in communication. They are acerbic in the use of words. They are derogatory in the passing of information between themselves and their spouses. They don't show respect. They don't show honor. So today, as we begin to discuss this, I want you to take a look at your own marital situation and see whether there are areas where fences need to be mended so that your marriage becomes a wonderful union indeed, to the glory of God. So what we are discussing today, like I said, is simply how to save your marriage part 2. The first thing you must do in improving communication is simply to learn how to discuss or how to pass your information constructively. As a spouse, as a married man, as a married woman, show respect, show honor, show dignity in the way you pass information between one another. Anytime you are challenged, anytime there's a crisis, anytime there is a problem in the home, know that there is a wonderful way to pass that information without being derogatory, without undermining the dignity of your spouse. It's very, very important. A man came back from work one day, looked at the face of the wife and said, "Oh, darling, I discovered that somehow you feel sad these days and it appears that something is bothering you. What actually is bothering you? Because you are not the same exciting person that I used to. What exactly is the problem?" And the woman looked at him and said, "What is bothering me? You are asking what is bothering me? I spent the whole night watching after our baby. He was running fever, and there you are lying down, just lying down, sleeping like a baby. You woke up this morning, you didn't even care about anything. You picked up your briefcase and you left for work. This is not the same caring husband I used to know. What exactly is wrong with you, Ben?" And the man looked at her face and said, "Wow, I'm sorry about that. I'm really sorry. I didn't take note. I'm sorry. The kind of work I'm doing in the office now is the pressure is too much on me. Please, I'm really sorry. I will adjust. I will adjust, really. Please, I'm sorry. Please come into my, I'm sorry." He grabbed the wife, held her, and then they both went to the baby. And they began to see. The way you pass information makes a lot of difference. It makes a lot of difference. In another home, it could be, "Oh, Ben, you are careless. You are useless. You are not caring. This is not what I bargained for when I came into this marriage." Yeah. Before you realize it, there is a lot of commotion in the home because the moment you begin to attack your spouse, he becomes defensive. So know how to pass information constructively. Know how to lay the problem bare for him or her to understand. It's very, very important as you seek to build a marriage that is worthy, a marriage that is exemplary. You must understand that dignity, respect, very, very important in passing information. That is the number one thing you must do if you must salvage that marriage. Know how to pass information between yourself constructively without undermining the dignity of one another. The second thing you need to do is to learn to control your anger. Put a rein on your anger. Anger is very, very destructive. No matter how angry you are. As a matter of fact, when you get angry, you begin to nag. And nagging can end the best of relationships. When you begin to nag your spouse, he becomes defensive. He needs to protect himself. The Bible says anger lies in the bosom of fools. Fools get angry because in the fit of anger, you can say things, you can do things that will become unforgettable in the memory of your spouse. You know, when you use unfit words, they may tell you, oh, we have forgiven, I have forgiven you for so and so. But I can tell you that in years to come, that terrible things you said, those terrible things you said will always be in the heart. So learn to control your anger. Please take out time, look at our earlier editions, our earlier teachings on how to manage anger before it destroys your marriage. Check it. It's among our videos. So just check it. It's among our teachings. Go through it and you will know how actually to deal with anger. Anger is destructive. If you desire actually to save your marriage, please keep a rein on your anger. When you get very angry, please go into the next room, shut the door, count from 1 to 20. Keep your anger down. Keep your anger level down. Nothing could achieve by anger. So please, that's the second thing to do. Keep a rein on your anger. And you are on your way to saving that marriage from utter destruction. The third thing you need to do whenever you are challenged, whenever there's a crisis in your marriage, please don't create a stone wall. What do I say? Don't create a stone wall. Don't use silent treatment. When you use silent treatment on your spouse or in your marriage, you freeze the joy of your marriage. You freeze your marriage. Don't begin to talk. Learn to, no matter whatever it is, learn to be open. Begin to talk. Don't keep silent. Don't keep silent. I will repeat it many times over because there's a tendency for us to keep silent whenever we are challenged by some certain circumstances or crisis in our marriage. We keep silent. We shut off our spouses. It will not help. It will not help. Because the moment your marriage is frozen, I can tell you that so many things will begin to creep in the minds of your spouse. Who says you may even drive him into the arms of that thing you think you are trying to save him from. So open up. Open up. Woman, if you're angry with if you are having a problem with your spouse, please serve him his food. Please still go out on outings with him. Speak to him honorably and with respect. Treat him well. Perform your wifely duties. I know it's a very challenging situation, but the reality is that these challenges will come and go, and your marriage will continue. The reality is that whatever is the crisis or the cause of the crisis, it will pass just like the whirlwind, and you will still continue enjoying your marriage. If you are a man in marriage and you are having problems with your spouse, that does not mean that you will leave your home without leaving money for food. That does not mean that you will put the children at risk. That does not mean that you will keep your wife and family hungry. If you are a man and you are having problem with your spouse, that does not mean that you come back and you then keep silent and shut everyone down and your children begin to realize that there is something wrong in the house. I want you to know that you and your wife, you are leaving a legacy before those kids. They are watching. They are watching. Don't let them, don't let their antennas pick any negative things from you. I want you to always speak to your spouse. Just do as if nothing is wrong. But I can tell you that if you begin to warm up to each other, those challenges will come and go, and your marriage will still be sustained to the glory of God. Please, if you are yet to subscribe to this channel, please do so immediately. There's a red button by my side. Click on it and get subscribed while I take you to the fourth point. The fourth point I actually want to make is that you must not at any time try to be a mind reader unto your spouse. Many relationships have been destroyed because the partners were busy trading accusations about what they think their partner said while the other partner was busy defending him or herself. I was once a party to, resolving a conflict between a couple some time ago. And while I was there, I discovered that while the husband was saying a whole lot of things, the wife was busy defending herself that she never meant that. She never said anything. She never meant anything like that. And the husband was very big dogged in his determination to prove a point. The same thing was happening on top with the wife. When the wife began to speak, the husband said, this is what you meant. I heard you say so. No, you're not a mind reader. I think in trying to resolve a conflict, in trying to salvage a marriage, we must pay attention to what our partners are saying. Pay more attention. If there are things you don't understand, if there are positions you don't understand, if there are things that were said or done that you don't understand, there's nothing that stops you from asking questions. Why is this so? Why did you say this? Is this exactly what you meant when you say so and so? I want to actually hear what you meant. What is it that you are trying to say? Open up your hearts. Get the required information. Ask questions where there is need. So that at the end of the day, there will be clarity. At the end of the day, you will be in a better position to resolve that conflict instead of assuming. In a lot of us assume that our spouses are saying what they are not actually saying. Possibly you have spent years in that relationship and you think that you know your spouse too well, that even before he or she opens her mouth, that you should know what he is saying. It may not always be so. I appeal to you, married couple out there, please don't be a mind reader. Open up your hearts. Listen to what your spouse is saying. At the end of the day, ask questions where there is need and get clarity. And then it will be easier for you to resolve that conflict to the glory of God. And as we go into the next one, I think it's point number 5 now. Yes, point number 5. And I want you to pay ultimate attention because what we are saying is very, very important. If you can act in what we are saying, I believe God that relationship, it will turn out better to the glory of God. The 5th thing you must do if you actually want to salvage that marriage, beyond all the points we have been talking about, is to try as much as possible not to be a chronicler of past hurts. In marriage, hurts must come, abuse must come, somehow there may be times of frustration and disappointments and disrespect. Such times do come up once in a while in a relationship. That somebody did something 10 years ago, 5 years ago, you should not keep it in your heart and begin to regurgitate it, begin to bring it forward anytime a situation comes up. I want you as a spouse, as a married person, anytime that there's a problem in your marriage, learn how to discuss it, learn how to settle it once and for all. And once it is settled, please put it in your sea of forgetfulness. Remember them no more. I discovered that marriages that fail are marriages where the couple continue talking about things that happened a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, down the line. Things that are supposed to happen, forgotten, they still bring up the issue. And before you know it, it becomes an impediment to resolution of that conflict. I want you as a spouse right now, if you have been challenged, if you have had a crisis in your home that is at least a few months old or a year old, or just please wipe it away from the slate and focus on the crisis at the moment. And as you do so, I believe God in my heart that resolution of that marriage will come. Glory will come back into that marriage. Resolution of that conflict will come. That marriage will be salvaged to the glory of God. And finally, my 6th point that I want to raise right now. As a couple, especially those who are involved in professions and occupations that take a chunk of their time, I want you to devote a particular time of the day or week for full regular discussion with your spouse. It can be first thing in the morning, it can be late at night, it can be the first few hours of a Saturday morning, it can be just after lunch, after Sunday lunch. It can be just put a specific time that you can sit back with your spouse without the infringement of the kids, without the kids coming to hinder whatever you are doing. Have that specific time to yourself. Discuss the issues that pertain to your marriage. Not small talks and not small gossips. I'm talking about your visions, your dreams, your goals as a couple, your struggles as a couple. These are things you discuss at such a time. If you begin to do that, you discover that those flashpoints, those arguments, those crises in your marriage, it will be totally minimized and you begin to have a more wonderful union. There are times in a relationship where you discover that for over 1 month or 2 months, you have not actually had a quality discussion with your spouse because of tiredness from work, because of some certain pressures of life. It ought not to be. In a growing relationship, please, you must make out time for such a thing as this. Quality marriage thrives with quality communication. Very, very important. And I thank you that you have kept faith for this particular edition. Before I close, I would like to just do a summary of certain things I have said in the course of this teaching. Number 1, you must learn how to present your matters constructively without undermining the integrity or the joy of your spouse. Very, very important. The second thing you need to do is that you must watch out for anger. Learn how to, put a lid on your anger. Anger leads to nagging, and nagging does not solve anything in a relationship. The third thing I actually said is that you must not keep a stone wall. You must not block communication. Allow communication to always flow, even in the midst of crisis. Because when you put a stone wall, when you freeze communication, you freeze the entire relationship. That's the third thing I said. And of course, I also said the fourth thing and the fifth thing. I think just go through. The fifth thing I said actually was that you must not be a mind reader onto your spouse. Don't begin to assume that he or she said what she didn't say. It has undermined the best of marriages. And of course, the sixth thing I said, that you create regular time of communicating, of discussion with your spouse. It can be any time of the day or week, but make it a regular time so that some of the things that undermine relationship will not come near you. Once again, I want to appreciate you for being able to keep faith with this channel today. And I want you to look forward to next week. Our third edition is coming next week. The third edition of this very particular teaching, how to save your marriage. If you follow, if you follow consistently with every point we have raised, right from the very first edition, this is the second edition. If you follow it consistently, that marriage will be saved to the glory of God. So I thank you for keeping faith. I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a wonderful time. But before you log off, look at this red button, click on it and get subscribed and be part of this wonderful journey. Thank you very much. God bless you.